Hi, it's Mary Beth Eisenhard, and I am happy today to say that I have assembled some teachers who I've known my whole life. My sister is one of them in Little Rock, Arkansas, and 6 other great teachers in the Northern Virginia region. We all know that Governor Northam in Virginia canceled school for the rest of the year for the state of Virginia last Tuesday. And so I gathered some great teachers in our region and have sent them some questions, and I wanted to spend this time today asking the teachers those questions so that parents, our friends, our colleagues, our clients can kind of know how to navigate these uncharted waters that we're finding ourselves in. So first of all, we're going to go around the table, so to speak, and ask each of our teachers to introduce themselves. Christy, you start.
Hi, I'm Christy Street. I teach at Patriot High School in Oakville, Virginia. I'm a special ed teacher. I teach earth science, predominantly to 9th graders.
Okay, Cora.
Hi, I'm Cora Ree. I teach 5th grade at Dumfries Elementary, and I work for Prince William County.
Okay, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Shea. I teach gifted resource for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students at Brambleton Middle School in Loudoun County.
Erica. Unmute.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Erica Nichols. I teach earth science at Patriot High School.
Christina.
Hi, I'm Christina Burke. I teach in Fairfax County in Ruston. I teach 7th grade AVID and 7th grade math and Math 7 honors, which includes 8th grade math. AVID is an elective that only Fairfax County, Alexandria, DC schools have. It hasn't, Loudoun has it, Prince William doesn't. But it's an elective that prepares students for college, those that typically don't get to go, underrepresented minorities, low-income students, and I'm there to help support them and get them ready for a college journey.
Okay, and I think my sister lost her internet connection in Arkansas, so we will just continue on without her, and we will do this at another day with Mary Kay, but that's all right. She's a teacher. All right, so in Little Rock, 6th grade teacher with Pulaski Academy in Little Rock, Arkansas. So the first question that I threw out there to all these wonderful educators was, and I think this is probably the most important question. Oh, Mary Kay's back. Mary Kay, are you there?
I know. Well, my Wi-Fi's gone out. So now
that's okay. So tell us what school you teach and what grade you teach.
I teach at Pulaski Academy, a private independent school. I teach 6th grade literature and writing in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is my last day of my spring break. What a spring break.
So the first question we had for these educators was, what is the one most important thing you want parents to continue with their kids at home? And Mary Kay, I'm going to have you answer the question first in case your Wi-Fi goes out.
Okay, well, I'm using cellular data, so hopefully I'll be okay. I think the most important thing is keep a schedule. Although there are people who are not schedule people, but we have found with our middle school kids, we have been out since March 12th, and we have found that with those kids, more than anything, they need a schedule. So that's most important.
Okay, Cora, how about you?
So I asked and challenged my students to find a non-academic goal. Prince William County is like slowly easing into virtual learning. So I set my goal to make sure I exercise twice a week, and I've been hearing from my students what their non-academic goal is. So kind of goes with that schedule. They have something to focus on every day to work towards.
Okay, and Christina, how about you?
I agree with the schedule. Make them get out of their PJs. They can't wear them all day and be productive. And organization as well. Help them set up a home office of sorts. Here's where your computer is going to be. This is your work zone. If you just work in bed, you're going to associate work with sleep. And anytime you work, you're going to feel like sleeping. So get them that organizational space, whether it's just a part of the dining room table, the island, wherever. Get them set up in a space to be productive.
Okay, great. Erica, how about you?
I think that just maintaining a curiosity and asking questions and getting them to look around them is probably the most important. We're not scheduled people when we don't have to be, so we have a routine, I guess, that we're trying to do. But I think just keeping the kids engaged in looking around them at what's going on and asking questions, finding ways to implement the curriculum into your daily life.
Okay, Christy?
I kind of was thinking that too, just make sure that they continue to be engaged. And I think that varies from student to student. I think it's okay for now. Prince William County, we're still in the phase where they're going back, looking at missing work, doing review. We haven't gotten to remediation for retakes and all that yet, but so we're still in the initial stages. So I think just keep their mind engaged. Like, what do they enjoy doing? It could be playing a math game, or reading, or all the other suggestions that were made. Also, I think it's important to keep open communication. As teachers, we do a good job of checking in with our students, just kind of seeing where they're at. And I just think it's important for parents to continue to do that as best as they can. Students, I had a friend email me last night, and she's like, my son won't talk to me about anything. I don't really know what to do. And I said, just, kind of give him his space a little bit and just kind of check in with him, and he'll eventually open up to you. He probably has a lot going on in his mind. So.
Okay, Jennifer, what do you think is the one most important thing you want parents to continue with their kids at home?
I've told my parents and my students to try to just keep a schedule going, and then not to have homeschooling, if they decide to do it, be an all-day thing, set an established time. If your child's in school for 8 hours, they do not need to be homeschooling for 8 hours. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, we've been trying for 4 hours. They need to set a schedule. We're starting at 10. We're going to do this till 10:30 the first day. Then maybe a little bit longer. Give them breaks and just don't stress about it.
Okay. The next question, and I'm going to take down some of the all's answers. So what is the best online learning sites, like apps or websites for math, social studies, reading, and science? And Jennifer, we'll start with you. Or in your specific grade level or curriculum that you teach, what is the best online sites that you would direct parents to?
We've been using a lot of Khan Academy, especially for math. They've got a lot of great videos and activities. And then for gifted kids specifically, the University of Virginia has a great site that has tons and tons of resources, and it's called Hoagies, Hoagies, Gifted. And there's all different types of things. There's links to virtual field trips. There's links to pretty much every gifted site you could think of, along with research. So that's what we've been sending our gifted kids.
Okay, Christina, I'm going to let you go next on that one because I know you teach a lot of the same kind of students also.
So I would definitely recommend Khan Academy. I know parents are probably sick and tired of hearing the words Khan Academy, Khan. There's a reason so many teachers recommend it. It's because it's got a video, follows up with practice, follows up with quizzes. It does everything. It does the grading for you. What you may not know is that you can create a parent account and link it to your child's account so you can track their progress. So you don't have to be like the mom Christy was talking about, where it's like, they won't tell me anything. You can look in your parent account, linked up to them, and see exactly what they're doing and how they're progressing through the curriculum.
Okay, Christina, I want to go back and ask you a question about that Khan Academy. So is that's something you said a parent can get an account, and is this something the kids do during the course of the school day with teachers right now, or when they were in school?
Most likely I use it here and there. I've done one unit where I teach exclusively through Khan Academy. It's transformations. It's very visual, but it's great for tracking progress. I haven't set up the parent account personally, but I do know parents who have done it. My students in Fairfax County can log into Khan Academy with their regular Fairfax Google account. So they can log in with a Google account, then you can, I think you can initiate like a link of some sort through one account, and then you can essentially link them up and see their progress.
And is that for all grades, or only like the middle school grades that you and Jennifer teach?
It goes kindergarten through college level stuff.
Oh, okay.
So what Khan Academy recommends is that you start like a grade level or grade level below. And what you can do is you can take the unit assessments and like, see, do I know all this stuff? Yes. Then move on to the next unit assessment until you get to the point where it's like, ooh, I didn't pass that. Maybe I should go back and work the whole unit before taking that unit assessment again.
Okay. Cora, what would be your take on online?
My students really love Dreamscapes for reading. So that's something new this year. It's through Squiggle Park. Squiggle Park has a ton of resources, but the game is called Dreamscapes. So prior to us being released from school, my whole class they each have an account. And so they're short little passages, and then they answer questions about the passages, and then they get to build a fort, and then they get to attack each other's fort. So it's very engaging. So if you're having trouble like getting your student kind of in the school mode, in that mindset, starting off with some of the more like gamified ones are really helpful. So like Dreamscapes, and then there's Prodigy for Math, which is very similar. So starting with some of those things that are like really low level, it's really easy to engage them. And then, you know, starting to step it up with more like academically focused websites has been helping my students.
So
Okay.
I have a question, Cora. Does that work for individual kids? Can a parent set up Dreamscapes?
So I believe so. I believe the parents can set up like an at-home account. It's just not linked through the teacher. But I was lucky enough that I set this all up prior, and my students are very familiar with it. So it goes from 2nd grade to 8th grade. But as a teacher, if you have them on Clever for Microsoft, then you can link it through Clever. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe you can use Google Classroom as well, and then just kind of push out their usernames and passwords. But I really like it because it's short passages and then comprehension, and it will push them higher as they keep getting questions right.
Okay. All right. Christy, how about you?
Definitely Khan Academy. Like others have said, I know as a parent, when my kids are at home doing homework, if there's something we can't find, we always go there. I haven't used it with my students, but I definitely know it's a great resource. I'm looking to do, in the classroom, I teach just science, so I don't know about the reading and the math side of it, but we do a lot of Kahoot and quizzes. Quizzes was something that we started before we left school as a review, and I'm going to continue to do that. Whenever we get word about retakes, that's what my students are really concerned about that, because we took a test before we left, and they need a retake on that, most of them. And so starting next week, I'm gonna try to get them like on there and engage with me to play together quizzes to review the concepts for the retake whenever they're allowed.
Okay, and Erica, how would you answer that about different online apps and sites?
One of the apps that we really like, and Christy and I have taught together for a number of years. We're not teaching together this year, but she took some of what I was going to say. But one of the sites that we've used is Quizlet. And a lot of teachers in the county use it at all grade levels, but there's also just, you could just go in and type a content term and come up with all kinds of either visual or it can be, some of it is just straight vocabulary, some of it is pictures and matching, and you can play games. Anyway, Quizlet, which is Quizlet. For an SOL class, there's SOL Pass. Even though we're not taking the SOLs, it's still a good place to review. My own kids are using IXL, and I know that goes through all grade levels. And then one that you may not, your teachers, parents may not be aware of, a lot of schools have an account for Scholastic, which has foreign language and science and all kinds of, it's like the weekly readers from when we were little. They're more monthly now, I think, at the upper grades. But if you contact your school librarian and the school has a password, she or he may be able to give it to you to use the online resources. It's one of the things I'm going to do with my kids next week. Or not next week, sorry, after spring break, when we're hopefully giving out maybe some new ideas, and kind of have them, read some more current event stuff. So I would say Scholastic, IXL, SOL Pass, and Quizlet would be my recommendations.
Scholastic also has a website, Scholastic Learn at Home, and that's what I've been using for my kid. You don't have to have the password, but like for my kindergartner, it's got a video like story, and then a story he reads, and then comprehension questions and vocab and games. And it's like all packaged week by week, day by day.
Okay. The next one is an easy one. This is a very easy fill in the blank question. What is your favorite book to read to your class, and who is your favorite author? All right, we'll start with Christy.
Oh, well, I don't
You probably
you know,
don't read to your class because you're at a higher level in terms
right,
of.
yeah. But as far as reading, I think kind of like the Scholastic is a great idea. I just want my students to read anything.
Yeah.
You know, I find that some students like minerals and some students like space and some students like weather. So just I did link some things on our Google Classroom just for them to read, watch a video, and then read more about it. So.
Okay, Erica?
I'm in the same, obviously same boat as Christy, but if they're looking for something to read that's science-based, I recommend Homer Hickam and October Sky. It's actually, the book is actually called Rocket Boys. There's 3 or 4 books he's written. They see the movie, they'll kind of have an idea of the story, but get the more background. I would say it's probably at the right reading level for high school students and maybe for a strong middle school or upper elementary reader. That would be science, some science that I really enjoy. I enjoy the book, so I think kids might too.
All right, Jennifer, how about you?
Hey, for elementary and beginning of middle school, I love everything by Kate DiCamillo. She has little books for younger kids, Bengali and the Mercy Watson series. And then as they get older, she has The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane and Because of Winn-Dixie. So there's a lot there. And then for the late middle school and high school, I love Mark Kurlansky with his books Salt and Cod. They're a great resource that a parent and a student could both read at the same time and have a great discussion. It basically follows the history of the world based around the salt trade and based around cod. And it's just an interesting link to history, science, and to show how everything is interconnected.
Wow. Okay, Christina.
I don't read to my kids either, but one that we did read as a class for Avid was called The Code by Maui Ajadam. And it's about a boy who had to flee his home country in Africa, came here, had to learn English. He lost his brother. And so he speaks from personal experience of how to be successful and how to be organized. It's nonfiction, but it could be great if your student does need help with that. My 7th graders love it. He gives very practical advice and talks about him being a teenager. My personal favorite is Bella Forrest, Forrest with 2 R's, dystopian novels that feature women heroines. And so that's what I like.
Okay, Cora, how about you?
I really like Gordon Corman, so that upper elementary, like early middle school. One of his new books is called Restart. So this student has to he has amnesia and he doesn't remember that he was a bully. And so he kind of gets to shape if he still wants to continue to be a bully or doesn't. And so I like reading this with my class and infusing those social emotional learning skills. And that's what I've really been telling parents, like focus on kind of those social emotional learning skills. And, you know, I recommended that they read this book together because you can really talk about how your attitude and your actions really shapes who you are.
Okay, the next question we had was, is probably really tough for a lot of parents. I know that right now we're getting ready to enter spring break, but what is one thing you would suggest that all students do daily to keep them engaged in learning? Okay, Jennifer, we'll start with you, my dear.
Okay. I would just have students do some type of activity that is first physical and then do one that's academic, just to keep them on some type of schedule. Still give them their spring break, still give them their weekends, but even if it's just logging on to Khan Academy or one of the other sites, reading a book. With my kids, I've sent them links to TED Talks because we do a lot of those in the classroom, and I've also sent them famous quotes and different information about different authors, and just for them to respond to something every day.
Okay, Christy?
I know at Patriot, one of our goals for all of our students is to continue to work on writing. When students get to the high school level, I think they just really don't like to write across the board. I mean, there's some that really enjoy it, but one thing that I saw recently was to have your kids, or just everybody in general, just to kind of keep a journal every day. It could be writing it down in a journal, a physical journal. Even with our students, writing in their phone, I don't know, using their devices. But we're living it through a historical event. 20 years from now, 10 years from now, looking back, and just kind of to document how they feel, what they're doing, their thoughts in the process, what could they do different? Like if they were in charge of the country, what would they do? Just different ideas like that. I thought that was a great idea. And I think that also helps them process their feelings as well at the same time.
Okay, Erica.
I would say read something, not just the computer screen, not just the video games, but pick up a current event or a book, or find something that you can maybe read and discuss as a family. I know generally during spring break we drop all schoolwork, but since everything is sort of at a half pace, it might not be a bad idea to keep up with a shorter amount of sitting down together and doing, like they were saying, something physical and then something sort of mental or intellectual, just to keep everybody's sanity.
So true. All right, Cora.
Now is like a great time if you have an upper elementary student and further to kind of like foster that independence in your child. So I use must do, may do in my classroom. And so I've encouraged parents to make a must do list for your child. So what must they accomplish today by what time? So by 6 p.m. you must have unloaded the dishwasher, read a couple chapters of this book. So what expectations are you setting as a parent for your child that day? And then sit with your child and come up with a may-do list, like play with Play-Doh or something, more engaging, that, play with a puzzle or 30 minutes of screen time. So really develop that with your child, because you're going to get the most buy-in and the most engagement when you can sit with your child and kind of plan some of those things out while still setting those expectations. And that's going to look different if you have a kindergartner, and that's going to look really different if you have a high school senior, but that structure can still apply across the board.
Okay, Christina.
I just echo the same thing. I'm a schedule person. My family works best on schedule. So I say just pick a schedule and stick to it. That's how to keep them engaged, because they know when they got to be checked in and they know when they can check out.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, how can students keep positive mental health in the current situation? And maybe this can kind of play into the whole senior issue, because I know Christy has a senior in high school who is going to be graduating, not graduating kind of a thing. And I know that Erica and Christy both work at the high school level. So maybe you guys can all just kind of talk about the positive mental health. Christy, I'll let you go first. Yeah.
All right. I think for all of us, I found with my own self, just limiting, I think there's curiosity of what's going on. But also there needs to be kind of like limits or boundaries, how much you're looking at media, through social media. I know with my own kids, they'll come and they'll say something to me, my own boys here. Well, no, that's not entirely true. Let's look at it a different way. Just kind of protecting their minds that way. And just as parents to continue just to try to help them as they're ready to just express their feelings, their thoughts. And, that's not always easy, especially with high schoolers. Those supports that they have, just try to continue to keep those connections best they could. I know a lot of kids are doing like Meet, it's kind of the same thing we're doing, but just to, stay positive and not feel so isolated.
I thought the cutest thing yesterday was Katie, my daughter's daughter, Brooke, was on a Zoom call with her teacher, first grade, with her teacher and like 6 of her students. I thought it was just adorable that she was actually sitting and engaged on the computer, the laptop, talking to her classmates on a Zoom call. I thought that was wow. All right, Erica, we'll let you answer that question. What do you think about the whole mental health thing and the senior kids and the high school, population?
Well, I do think a lot of what Christy said is true. I found myself getting all worked up to begin with, and reading everybody's posts and angry at people who don't understand this, and frustrated with people who don't understand that. And I kind of have to scroll past it and So I do think that you have to filter and, know who's going to get you wound up and who's going to get you calmed down. I think too that it's, for all ages, our approach to this is going to be really what guides how our kids respond to it, both students and our own children. And I think it's okay to be frustrated and worried and annoyed, and it's okay to share that with your kids, but you got to make sure that you're still responding reasonably and appropriately, to the world around you. I think, as far as being connected and isolated, I mean, social media is wonderful that way to keep you from being isolated, but again, it can be overwhelming. We've let our kids, I've got little kids, and the one is talking to his friends all day long on Fortnite, which is good for, it's okay. We're dealing with that. And the other, she's had some Zoom calls with her teammate or her brownie troop, and her teacher set one up, and those have made all the difference. So I do think we need to give access to social media, but I think we need to be careful who they're reading and what they're listening to and how we're responding to what we're reading and listening to.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I go back and just, I didn't talk about the senior thing. So I think my son, who's getting ready to graduate, I think he's taken it pretty well. I don't think he realizes all that there was to be that he's going to miss. And so I don't know, I guess that's good at this point. But he's really excited about moving on to college. And so we've just I think the thing for every one of us is it kind of feels like we're stuck now sometimes, and that it's not going to end, but it will end. We will go back to we'll go back to regular life. It may not be exactly the way that it was. And so, I think just kind of looking beyond that, like talk about things in the future, like with him, my senior, just about the continued excitement about next year, and just reassuring him that not really sure. We got an email the day before yesterday from our principal, and he wrote the seniors a wonderful letter about his own feelings and about them, and I think that was really nice for parents and students. But he reassured them that some way, somehow, we are going to celebrate. It may not look the same, sound the same, be the same. But I've just tried to encourage my son, like, we are going to celebrate this because this is a huge accomplishment. And in the end, my hope is that whatever it is that, I know that it'll still be wonderful, that, we can do things to make up for the things he's lost. Both my boys play on a soccer team, and since they were little boys, they dreamed of playing varsity soccer together, and they played one game together, and they've lost that. But just kind of, talk about, the experience they had, but just kind of moving forward, just celebrating the things that they had and that they experienced. And then there's more things to celebrate to come, but they just may look a little different.
Just to touch base on the principal aspect of it, speaking sort of for my husband, but it is heartbreaking for them as well. I mean, they've gotten to know these kids and watch these kids over 4 years and their struggles and their successes, and they know how important graduation is, because for them every year it's an important event. And and the prom and some of the things that we don't get to have, and it is heartbreaking, and they're doing what they can. It's on the list of things that they're trying to figure out how to do and how to do best. I just keep reminding Richard, these kids are going to have one heck of a story to tell their kids and their kids' kids, years down the road. Like Christy said, these are historic times, and no one is ever going to say their graduation was canceled because of a pandemic. And they're going to be the only generation to say that. So it doesn't seem like it now, but I keep trying to find a little bit of a positive there for them. And there is so much to celebrate, but to assure people out there that the schools are aware, and they're feeling it emotionally as well. And they're working on it.
Okay. Jennifer, how about you want to answer this question?
Yeah. I've just told my kids, and I think the best thing is to stay connected somehow. It doesn't have to be social media. It could be phone calls, FaceTime, with other students from their classes, not just their friends. Because you have a friend relationship and you have a peer relationship, and maintaining that peer relationship will help with not having seen their friends for like in school for 7 months, 6 months, however long it's going to be. Take time for yourself, and also try to find the positive and find ways to take advantage of the situation, whether it be, having the time to sit there and explore something that you usually would not have the time to during your general education setting.
Okay, Christina, how about you?
I say modeling's important. For my mental health, it helps me to work out. So if you want your kids to get off social media, to put down the phone, to put down the video games, you've got to do that too. So you need to get outside with them. You need to go for family walks, go for family drives, go get drive-through together. I don't care if they want to stay home, make them get in the car and talk to you. And that's all yeah.
Okay, Cora.
I think like at the lower elementary level, you're going to have kids that have like big feelings and big emotions. And this might be the first time that they're like truly anxious for a long period of time. And so, even if they won't acknowledge that feeling, you kind of like modeling, like Christina just said, okay, I'm feeling anxious. This is what I do when I feel anxious, let's try that. Would that help you? Would taking a bath help you? Would, engaging in a task help you? Kind of figure out what is going to help your child when they feel those feelings. I think sometimes we don't, we know when we feel anxious and when we're stressed, but are we expressing to our students and to our children, this is what I do, this is how I cope, because this is a time to have those big, huge emotions that, some of us have never felt before.
Okay, the last question is really going to be two-part, and I think this is so important. What one piece of advice would you give to students, and what one piece of advice would you give to parents? I mean, the great thing is, it's Christy, Erica, Jennifer, and Christina. Between the four of y'all, 2, 4, 6, you have 10 children. So, you're a parent, you're a teacher. So you see it from both angles. So tell me what you would tell the students, and tell me what you would tell the parents. And I'm going to start with Jennifer.
I think, first of all, I would tell them both the same thing, in that this is a new situation for every single person involved. There's no playbook. No one has done anything like this before. So there's really no wrong or right way to do things. And for parents, your children best. Don't put them in a situation that's stressful, or try to teach them in a way that's stressful because your neighbor's doing it that way. For the students, just remember, everyone else is in this situation. You may not have gotten your last quarter of social studies, but nobody else in the entire state is getting their last quarter of social studies. So next year when you return, don't worry, the teachers are going to be aware of that. It's not like you're the only student. So everybody will be preparing for that. So just realize that, just take this time and don't stress about what's going to be next year.
Good advice. All right, Christina, we'll go to you next.
So I would say for students, right now the work might be optional, but just do it. When I take notes, my kids are like, do I have to write this? I'm like, well, I'm not writing it for me. I'm not putting together work for me. I'm putting it together for you. Can you tell I teach middle schoolers with this attitude? But anyway, so I do it for you. It's all for you. They're your resources. Use them. I don't do it just for fun. Well, it is kind of fun, but I do it for you. Get it done, whether it's optional or not. Do what you can with what you have. I'm not expecting you. I can't grade it, but I'm doing it for you. Parents, please be patient with your teachers. Technically, no one had to do anything yet. We technically have been closed like a snow day. Some teachers went above and beyond. Some took the closure like a closure. Just be patient. We still don't have directions yet. Like we don't know what we're doing. So don't expect that teacher to be the same level they were before. We have children now to take care of at home. We have other household things to take care of at home. We're now a stay-at-home mom plus a working mom. Like, we're doing both jobs right now. So just be patient with your child's teacher and be flexible.
All right, Erica, did you want to throw something in? Your turn, Erica.
There we go. Okay. I was just going to say patience. I just think everybody needs to have patience. We're not used to so much together time, and probably any family, even if you are a homeschool or have little people or work from home. You know, no, like people have said, nobody has any answers because no one's done it before. We're all doing it on the fly here. So I think parents have to have patience with each other and themselves and their kids and their teachers. And I think kids need to, try and have patience as well. So that's been our big thing here, patience.
Okay, Cora, your turn.
My advice kind of for parents is to really not stress. Like, all of us in this room have gone, to college for 4+ years and have been trained and have had classroom experience. And so I don't expect parents to be, perfect, right? Because I've had all this training, and like Christina said, a lot of you are now teaching and stay-at-home moms at the same time. So I think we need to everybody stressed about everything, but you are doing your best. And that's what I've been telling my parents. You are doing the best thing that you can for your child right now, and that's good enough. That is totally good enough. And as we navigate this uncharted waters together, really reach out to your classroom teacher, because they're here to support you. And a lot of teachers are twofold. They know what it's like from the parent side, and they know what it's like from the education side.
Okay, Christy.
All of those are such great ideas. I really I can't remember who said it, but it's kind of going along with my thinking of, somebody said, having them set a personal goal. And I think that could cover anything. It could be the academic side, it could be the personal, it could be the relationship side. But I just think this is just such a unique opportunity for families and for students to kind of sit back and have time to kind of reflect and work on these things. At Patriot, we teach all of our students the 7 habits of highly effective teens. And this is a great opportunity to put those in practice. Like Erica was saying, and a couple others were saying, like patience with others that we live with just where we're at, with our teachers, and just kind of the process. Just use this opportunity that you have to work on something that just kind of evaluate your life and see where you're at. It could be something very simple. As parents, I came across this great article yesterday, and it was saying that what we're doing is not homeschooling, it's crisis schooling. And, we want them to continue in academics. And I think being in the area that we live in, we see this even more so. I think it's great to have structure, and it's great to continue in the skills that we had. But just as parents, the forefront of our mind before we attempt any of that is that our country is in a crisis, and it's, the typical rules don't necessarily apply, and just to be flexible. And also just to, again, use this time to build relationships in your family and kind of work on those, different areas. It's a great opportunity to do so. So, no.
Okay, well, I just want to thank you guys so much. It's such great information. I promised we would keep this under an hour, and we did. So hang on just a second.